Hello and welcome back to the Tin Barn. I'm Pragmatic Lee, and I realize it's been a couple of weeks since I've done a video, but I had a few projects around the yard and around the house I needed to take care of. And to be honest, I was a little bit caught up on my machining work and didn't really have anything to do a video on. Today's video is going to deal with the forge, and I've been doing a little work on and off and around with the forge. Don't give up on my channel though. Got numerous machining projects coming up. Just don't have all the pieces together yet to get started on them. But this happens to be the few days before Valentine's 2020, and I decided I would do something on video. I've done a couple of prototypes of, but I think I'm ready to do a finished product now as a Valentine's gift for my wife. We're going to make a rose forge, a rosebud, using some simple material. For the stem of the rose, I got a piece of 5/16 rod that I have turned down the end and tapped a 1/4 20 on that end. For the rosebud itself, we're going to use this piece of 3/4 inch black pipe. This is 3/4 inch ID black pipe. We'll only use about 1.5 inches of it though. I just cut these pieces off to use on the forge, holding them with the tongs. For the sepal on a rose is those little almost like leaves that form around the bud before it opens up, and you know they usually flower out. For that, we're going to use this little 4-pointed star, and we're going to make a couple of leaves as well to weld onto the stem. I've got some templates just glued onto this piece of sheet metal. I'm going to cut this out off camera. I'll just go to the bandsaw and cut these off, cut these out. Then we're going to go out to the forge and we'll make the bud first. I'm out here under the shelter at the tin barn now, where I've got my little forge set up, press, my track anvil over here, and I've got this fulling device set in the hardy hole. Now that's what we're going to use to neck down this piece of pipe. I've got it marked at about 1.5 inches back from the end. So I'm going to stick this in the forge now, get that fired up, and then I'll try to get you a little tighter shot on what we're going to be doing over here on the anvil. Alright, hopefully you can see what we're doing. I usually do these collars like this in about 4 heats. got it necked down as far as I want to go now. I'm going to quench this, but one of the things you need to absolutely keep in mind when you're dealing with red hot pipe, when I drop this down into quench, steam will come out this end down here. If you got a long enough piece of pipe that you don't have to have the tongs to hold it, you can stuff a rag or something in there to keep the steam from coming back. I'm just going to gradually drop it in. Cooling it down kind of slowly. All right, I'm going to carry this into the bandsaw now, and I'm going to make, cut this into 4 pieces. Actually, what I'll do is cut it straight through, turn it 90 degrees, and make another cut back to about where the neck starts here. All right, I've got 4 cuts made in that now, or got 2 cuts made to turn this into what's going to be 4 rose petals. So I'm going to put this back in the kiln, get it red hot again, and then we're going to start this fold in with the pliers. All right, all I'm going to do now is take my pliers and see how I just started that edge under. Okay, so now I've got the 4 pedestals starting to fold, 4 petals starting to fold. Now I'm just going to gradually fold these in. As you see what I'm doing here, I'm just lightly tapping this around to fold all 4 petals together. All right, I think one more heat and we should be fine. All right, I think I'm pretty well happy with the rosebud itself. I'm going to set this over and just let it cool on its own now. There's no need of it having to quench. All right, I think the next piece we're going to work on is the stem itself. As I said, this is a piece of 5/16 rod. It's about 9.5 inches long, and I have turned it down on the lathe to 1/4 inch at this end and tapped about a 1/2 inch, 1/4-20. But that's kind of plain Jane there. We're going to heat this up in the kiln and give the stem a little bit of character. And I'm not really doing anything over here other than just putting some texture on the stem. I'm going to get that threaded in first, then I can get it. Don't want to damage the threads, so I'll turn it around now and get the remainder of the stem good and hot. All right, as you can see, that kind of put some crooks in it too. No straight lines in nature. So we'll let that cool. All right, I cut that little star out on the bandsaw and drilled a 1/4 hole in the middle. That, of course, is going to go over the 1/4 threads on the stem. But the way I'm going to do the initial shape on this, obviously we're going to put it in the kiln and burn that glue and paper off of it. But I've got a little mold here. This is nothing but a piece of scrap material that I took a 3/4 inch bit, countersunk a hole in there, and 1/4. And then I've got a 1-inch ball that I drilled and tapped for 1/4. So we'll put that in between and press that. That paper and glue don't last long at 2,000 degrees. This little 22 gauge sheet metal doesn't have to be hot to form it, but I did want to burn that paper off. All right, as you can see, what that did was give us a nice indentation that the rosebud, when we cut it off of our piece of pipe, is going to fit down into. All right, the leaves that we're going to put on the stem, we're going to work them cold to begin with. I'm going to carry these over, set them over on the anvil, take a cold chisel, and just put a little indentation along where I've marked with the black marker. And to protect the anvil from the chisel, we'll put that little soft plate down. No real pattern of what I'm doing here. I'm just trying to put a little or give the leaf a little character. All right, now I'm going to fire this up, burn that paper and glue off of it, and give it a little shape. All right, I've got a little swage block here on the anvil, and I'm going to use this same material that I made the stem out of. I'll lay that in there. And all that did was put a little curvature in the where we're going to weld this onto the stem. So I'll do the same thing to the other piece, and then I think we're ready for putting the rows together. Okay, I'm not sure if I mentioned it, But what we'll do now, I'll carry this over to the bandsaw, cut it right in the small part of this neck here, and then that will fit down in the sepals. Okay, I didn't try to video welding the leaves on. Nothing to see there but a bright arc. But I just found a couple places that looked like that's where the leaf belonged, and used that flux core welder I showed in a video about a month ago. Used it and welded the leaves on. Now, to put this all together, we need our rosebud to attach up here. So what I'm going to do, when I squeeze that pipe in together, neck that pipe, remember it started out at 3/4 inch ID. It's down small enough now that we can mount it in the vise using a tap drill for a 1/4 20. And then tap it. All right, now let's do a dry run assembly. Remember, this was our sepals that we put the indention in. We'll put that over. And that's not that good of a background. Let me get something behind back here, a little lighter color, so you can see what we're doing. All right, I've got that towel back here now. Give it a little contrast. I'm going to see if the propane torch will heat this up enough to put a little shape into these. If not, we'll carry it back out there to the kiln. All right, we're going to start out with the scroll pliers and just give that a little upward scroll there. This is still a little bit loose on the stem, but we'll get all that tightened down. All right, I'm actually going to wire brush this some or brass brush it, let it cool off a little bit. Then I'm going to carry it out and put a clear coat on it, and we'll come back and do a quick recap on this video. Okay, I was very well pleased with the way that turned out, so I decided I'd go ahead and make another one. And rosebuds aren't complete without a bud vase. So I did pretty much the same procedure in the fullering tool with the remainder of that piece of 3/4 pipe, flared out the end just a little bit on the horn, and made a little base out of just simply some round stock. But I've got a pair of rosebuds now and a bud vase. Hope you enjoyed this video, and hope the wife enjoys the Valentine's roses. We'll see you on the next one.